We don't have a lot of slides today, but we have a lot to talk about. You know, some of the most recent happenings at the state legislature, but also intend to tie in some of the things that are going on with Nebraska Farm Bureau and the American Farm Bureau Federation. As Aaron already mentioned, Jay Ferris is in Washington, D.C. right now. Others from our team that are back there working on several different issues include Jay Rempe, our senior economist, Mark McCard, our first vice president, and Steve Nelson, our president of Farm Bureau, as well as Jordan Dukes, who is the director of our federal public policy or government relations efforts. So there's a lot going on in Washington, D.C., and there's a lot going on in Lincoln, Nebraska. Sometimes it's a little bit tough to tell on both fronts as to what exactly is taking place, but I'm going to chalk it all up to my theory of positive turbulence. You know, to get something done, if you're trying to boil an egg, the water's got to bubble a little bit, get a little bit hot, but those are the things that result in substantive changes. Some of the things that in the news, Nebraska, there's a group that has been formed, Nebraskans United for Property Tax Reform and Education. We are part of that. There are many ag groups that are part of that, corn growers, soybean growers, pork producers, and there are many educational interest groups as well as some other property owner interests, both from a residential as well as a commercial property taxpayer, that are calling on the legislature and the governor collectively to focus their attention to property tax reform as things continue to heat up, both with the state's budget and revenue projections, as well as the ever-increasing property tax burden. More and more people across the state are coming together in various ways, and there are several coalitions that are forming around the state. Some we're a part of, some we're not, but there's quite a bit going on there. So that's taken place. There are several different articles or press accounts calling for property tax relief and reform. As we push on this, yes, we need immediate relief. You know, some of these headlines up here, one that really sticks out to me that I want to draw your attention to is that on Monday afternoon, Nebraska's Economic Forecasting Board met, and they revised the revenue projections over the next biennium to where they reduced their projections for anticipated revenues by reducing it another $153 million over the biennium. So when we were looking at that before Monday, the legislature was faced with taking care of this particular biennium, finishing this one, which ends June 30th. But then also between the two, we were looking at, as a state, a $911 million projected revenue shortfall. Over the course of 2 years, the state's budget is about $9.4 or $9.5 billion. But over that biennium, we're looking at a projected revenue shortfall of a little bit over $1 billion now when you add the $153 million to the previous estimate of being short $911 million. Want to be very, what should I say, direct here as well. There's a lot of folks that ask, well, how can you push for tax reform when we're facing such a projected revenue shortfall? Those things can happen independent of each other, especially with the principles that Farm Bureau and other ag groups such as the cattlemen, corn growers, pork, soybean, and dairy, a group that has come together that is pushing for tax reform. When we're pushing for this reform, we're pushing for something that is revenue neutral, but also make sure that we adequately fund K-12 education. We're always cognizant of pushing for spending restraint and fiscal responsibility. We get that. That's definitely something that we work on every day, that we're at the table working on these issues for you.